Hey guys, I was reading a book recently called Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. I think that's what it was called. And there was a chapter in there, a section that really grabbed my attention, and it was around the idea of being intolerant of stress and essentially being intolerant of the whole gamut of negative emotions that can be felt by us, whether it's frustration, anxiety, sadness, all the negative stuff, all the difficult emotions that can come through, and they're all kind of different variations of the same thing. Essentially, we could call them all forms of stress. And this idea of being intolerant of stress, not allowing it to be a thing, was really interesting. And it certainly had been a way that I had been seeing things for a while, but to put it in those terms made me think of it with even more clarity and even more understanding. So I wanted to share that, and I recently shared a tweet around this idea, and I had a question through from someone who said, can you go into a little bit more detail about what being intolerant of stress means, being intolerant of stress and why it's important. So I'm going to try my best in the next couple of minutes just to explain what that means in terms of how I see it. Being intolerant of stress. Well, I mean, it makes sense at face value. You know, it's as a phrase, intolerant, being intolerant of stress, which goes kind of against a lot of people's intuition in terms of how they think stress works. A lot of us think that our lives are stressful. Our jobs are stressful. Our jobs are causing us stress. The people in our lives are difficult and frustrating, and they make us stressed. I certainly know what that feels like. It certainly feels real. It certainly feels like it's a thing. But it ain't. We create our own negative emotional experience if we allow ourselves to create it. So, job doesn't make you stressed. Working hard does not make you stressed. Other people do not make you stressed. Your environment doesn't make you stressed, even though it does. Even though it seems like it, it really doesn't. It's an illusion. It is an illusion that looks real because our mind and our thought process and our thoughts are extremely powerful at creating illusions. So when we think something is true and we see no reason to disbelieve that truth that we have made up in our minds, it looks extremely real. It is real to us. We create truths all the time through our thinking. So if we say to ourselves, this person is causing me stress, and we totally believe it, we fall for it, hook, line, and sinker, we are creating that stress for ourselves. We are becoming and feeling the stress of our own thinking. And what was really interesting in this book, which I recommend you guys read, Slowing Down to the Speed of Life, was this idea that people who are not stressed, or people who have experienced less stress and less emotional turmoil in their lives, they have good emotional management, they feel more peaceful, more calm through their lives. They rarely experience things like overblown anxiety and burnout and things like that. They segment themselves apart from the majority who do believe that things in our circumstances are causing us stress when they aren't. And what they do is, well, first of all, they understand the dynamic of how our minds work. They know that, well, maybe they don't even know it sort of consciously, but they know to a degree that things outside of us are not creating our emotional experience, and they understand how the mind is creating that emotional experience. They understand that the way we think is going to dictate how we feel. If we judge and we criticize and we complain and we moan and we visualize, scary things happening, and we think fearful things and we visualize scary things, we're going to feel that fear, we're going to feel that stress. So people get that. And to be intolerant of it is really empowering, because it means that our decisions and our way of experiencing the world isn't down to other things. We are taking responsibility in our intolerance of how we think. So being intolerant of stress is to say that we're not having any of this. I'm not having any of this crazy thinking coming up about how everything is terrible and how everything is needs to be judged and how everything's bad. That's all it is. It's a very healthy, it's a very empowering, it's a very winning move to stand proud, stand tall, and to say, my mind is dictating my emotional experience, so I'm not having any of this negative stuff. I'm not going to have any of this stressful thinking. I'm not going to buy into these thoughts that look so real that I'm very tempted to lean into, grab hold of, cling to with dear life, and ruminate on for several hours, which then makes me stressed. I'm going to refuse to do this. Perhaps I've been through a life of anxiety and worry and overthinking. Now's the time to no longer tolerate this, because it's always going to be the same for as long as you believe that you have no say in this, you have no agency in this, and everything is at the mercy of the world around us. If you see things that way, and you see and feel and sense that you have nothing you can do in your power to decrease the level of stress you experience, and that it is all down to other people and other situations and other circumstances, you are screwed to a life of stress, emotional turmoil, reactivity, and anxiety. This is good to know. If you can get this, this is big, because it means that you are able to step in and to be in control to a degree. Obviously, we're going to have thoughts. We're going to have negative thoughts. These are not, you can't just not have negative thoughts. They will come up. The difference is that we are not tolerant of those thoughts that come through and toy with us and pester us and knock on our shoulder and say, look at me, look at this thought. This is worth your attention and your stress and your hours of pain, isn't it? No, I'm not going to be I'm not tolerating that anymore. I'm not tolerating my buying in to my fearful negative thinking. That's really powerful. It's been really helpful for me, because when you see this, you can start realizing that there's a gap. There's a gap between the thoughts that come through and your response to those thoughts. And when you create and widen that gap through your intolerance of the thoughts that come up, the negative thoughts. Obviously, you want to be tolerant of the good thoughts, and you want to, jump on those insights and those useful, creative thoughts, absolutely. But your life will change if you can and choose to be intolerant of stress and stressful thinking and anxious thinking and whirlwind ruminating thinking. That's it for me. I want to make sure these videos stay under about 8 minutes for the most part. So do like this, first of all. Smash that like button if this made any sense to you and connected with you. And do give me an indication through your liking this video of the direction I'm going in and whether you like this direction. And also it gives other people the opportunity on YouTube and elsewhere through the algorithms to know that this stuff exists and to help them as well. And by hitting that like button, you're helping people exponentially. Make sure you're subscribed, and do leave a comment down below about your thoughts on this. I always love reading them. Peace out, guys. See you in the next one.